You do not want to move around your family when you're taking on a big challenge. You need to go where nobody's there. Nobody's there to comfort you, and nobody's going to spoon you when you get home tonight. Nobody's going to comfort you. You don't want comfort when you're starting something up. You need fear, and you need like desperation, and you need loneliness.
My goal is to meet as many people on this planet as possible, people that are positive, people that have more time to create than to be critical, more time to hustle than they have to hate, and they want to actually add strategy and techniques that are proven to grow their business so that they can take care of their family and their church.
By one of the greatest artists out there, $2 million enclosure, 60 right over there.
You know, since you were here last, we opened a fund up.
Yeah, okay.
So we raised $256 million.
Really? Wow.
On social media with no ad budget.
Wow. 250.
Quarter of $1 billion in
With
cash.
That's amazing.
No ad budget.
Organic
So, I mean,
social just posted.
So this is what you're gonna ask
talk
me
about
about
some
this.
of that.
Okay, yeah. Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Yeah, okay.
250. We lay an accredited and a non-accredited side by side. So we tested a non-accredited. Everybody told me not to do it.
Right?
The lawyer said don't do it. The accountant said don't do it. I said let's do it. I've heard enough now. So let's do it. And we laid them side by side. They feed the same properties. So I go buy the property.
Okay.
I fund it.
Right.
I close it. I get a Fannie Mae loan or
Gotcha.
a MetLife loan. So anyway, we put the two funds side by side. And so the accredited rolls into one fund and the non-accredited. Anyway, we've done.
Oh, wow.
We did $50 million in
So it's
non-accredited.
It's a safe investment at that point because you've already got you've
cash
already
flow.
bought it. It's cash flowing
40
positive.
days later, they get their first check.
What was the $3.5 million last month in distribution?
No, we distributed 1.6 last month. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll hit 2 million this month.
Talk about
Let's start just about your upbringing, where you started.
Yeah.
Like, how did you become Grant Cardone? Okay.
Yeah, so if you don't know my story, like I came from Louisiana. I never saw Miami. I didn't even know like this all glitzy. I wasn't brought up with all this stuff. So I grew up in Louisiana, single mother. My dad died when I was 10 years old. He was a stockbroker. He was a stockbroker, fairly successful stockbroker. Basically, that's code for salesman. And he had 5 kids. He died when he was 52 years old. Left some life insurance money. Did everything the middle class rule book says. Pay off your house. Have some cash in the bank. Have some dividend paying stocks. And have some life insurance for your family if something happens to you. So he died. My mom was selling the house the following week. That was really important for me because I look back now and I'm like, well, if a house was an asset, you wouldn't have to get rid of it, right? You don't want to get rid of assets, but she had to, which indicates to me now looking back, house is not an asset. It's just a place for money to die. And so I watched my mom scared all the time. She was terrified. I don't know how many of you have parents that were scared of money. Maybe they're still scared of money. They talk about, if we went on a vacation, it was, where was the buffet, food free? How could you get an extra night? Where was the coupon? My mom was clipping coupons. I'm 10, 12 years old watching her. Like I'm learning. You're picking up all this data. Right, some of it's good, some of it's bad, and some of it gets you to some place in life, and then that same information that might have helped you trap me. So look, all I knew at 15 years old was I wanted to help my mom, and I couldn't. And so somewhere around 15 or 16, I said, well, I'm gonna get rich. I want to be rich. Like I had this rich bug bit me. And I don't even know if I knew
books you were reading at that time.
No, I was watching mafia movies.
Okay.
so Bogart. I was watching Bogart, Cagney, all the old black and white. You right? Remember those? All those guys. This is before The Godfather, but The Godfather would be released. I was reading all those books, all the Coppola books. Now the reason
Not any get rich quick stuff though. Just
I didn't even know that existed.
Right,
I didn't, see, my dad's gone. See, what happens is when everybody has mentors, and when the main mentor is gone, then the organism starts looking for other. So boom, Humphrey Bogart. Okay, James Bond. Oh, James Bond. Shit, I want to be James Bond. I want to sleep with all the women. I want to do the casino thing. I'm 12 years old, man. I'm making, I want to be a player, right? I'm making all these little decisions. These decisions are so powerful, though. And the fact that I didn't have an event like this to come to, where I could actually have somebody to emulate that would be positive. So my role models and mentors became. Basically, they were negative icons. And so by the time I was 20 years old, I had a drug problem. Between 15 and 25 years old, I was using drugs all the time. I actually thought I was going to become a cocaine, I was going to become a drug dealer.
Yeah.
If I didn't have the moral compass that I have, because I couldn't hurt people. These people that I would hang with, they were willing to hurt people. I couldn't hurt people. And because if I was willing to hurt people, today I'd probably be 10x drug king. Good that I had some kind of moral compass, and my dad really instilled that in me. Work hard. It was two things I learned from him: work hard, and don't do anything to damage your name. Nothing. Do everything you can to enhance your name, so people can appreciate it. So anyway, that's how I grew up.
So now
there was no yachts and planes and
When did Where did you start making your first money? Were you 20? I'm sure you worked prior to that. But
I was 25.
Yeah.
I was a salesman.
Okay.
I was selling automobiles. I just came out of a treatment center. That was a really important move for me to make.
Okay.
For you guys that are, doing drugs. I just tell you, nobody. There's never been a drug addict that started out with the goal to be a drug addict. And drugs could have easily killed me. I probably overdosed 3 or 4 times. I probably should be dead today. So anybody, if you ever see online people criticizing me or hating on me, it doesn't bother me because I shouldn't even be here. I'm like, that criticism it's not even real to me. So I got out of a treatment center when I was 25 years old. I got a sponsor. I did 2 things every day. I went to a meeting to hear somebody say that they went out last night and used drugs and it didn't help them, or some guy said, I got 24 more hours. That was inspiration for me. And the second thing I did was I learned how to sell. That's the only 2 things I did every day. I woke up in the morning, don't use drugs today. Learn something about selling, communicating, closing, negotiating, follow up. You got to learn one more little thing today. And so my first money was, I remember I was making $3,000 a month, and my goal was to make $4,000. And when I made that $1,000, that was the best money I've ever made in my whole life.
Nice.
Because it was like, God damn, if I can make an extra $1,000, then I can do anything. So I know that doesn't seem like maybe to you a big deal, but for me that was like, okay, if I can do 1,000, you just need the momentum, right? You need the first one. And so that's I was making almost $100,000 a year selling cars.
So 25 years old, you're selling cars. And
I hated selling cars, by the way. Hated it, was not good at it, did not like talking to people, never imagined myself. I remember if there was more than one person I had to talk to in a car deal, there was no way I could sell the car. Like if there was 3 people in the room, much less this many people in the room, I would just freak out. Too many decision makers, too many things going on. If there were kids on the deal, I was done. I became overwhelmed. So those are things I didn't know how to do, and I didn't like to do it. Now that has become an indicator in my life.
Yeah, and that's very strange because when I first met you, I came down to your office, which was down in South Miami, right? Mm-hmm. Originally, now you're up north Ventura. Yeah. But I remember walking in Grant's office and just feeling the pulse, the energy. Salesmen were there, people were buzzing.
Yeah.
You and I were going to do an interview, which we did. That went boom like that.
Yeah.
One take. It was
Easy,
powerful.
Easy.
But your business at that particular time, you were selling sales training for automobile dealers, automobile sales.
Yeah, and companies. So
not just automobiles.
Furniture, like any company, like.
But the cars was one of your focuses. Right?
The automotive. automobile industry was a focus because I came out of that industry. So when I was 30 years old, I hated the sales thing. I hated like I'm doing this documentary right now on Tom Hopkins. I'm participating in it. And he's the guy that I studied, and I studied Brian Tracy, and I studied all these guys. This was back when selling was like, you ask a question, I answer it with a question. There was no transparency. You couldn't shop data anywhere. So everything was slick. It was criminal. It was bordering on criminal all the time. Like, I'm going to put my thumb inside my hand like this, and I'm going to model you and match you. And I hated that shit. Like, I hated the idea that I had to become someone else every time. So basically what I did was, I tell this story all the time. I was selling fish when I was 19 years old. I mean, if I'm selling fish, I just knock on your door and say, I got fish. That was my pitch. I got fish. I caught the fish. The fish are fresh. And before you say no, look at the fish.
Yeah.
And I sold all my fish.
Nice.
And so I learned how to do things transparent in an industry. This is 30 years ago. Car dealers didn't give you anything. There was no books. There was no Google. There was no TrueCar. There was none of that, right?
Right.
So I figured out how to be more effective selling with the truth, honesty, transparency, and authenticity. And I took that model and I went out around the country and sold it to a bunch of car dealers that were making money deceiving people.
Yeah.
And so that was a big thing for me.
Now, where did 10X come?
Yeah,
Because I remember 10X was everywhere. Your books, all the materials that I think.
Yeah, you're going fast now.
Yeah.
So
okay.
So I went around for when I was 31 years old. I went around the country, knocking on the doors of car dealers. Most of you in the room would not be willing to do this. There's no audience harder to talk to than a car dealer. Like, you cannot show me somebody tougher. And you got to get in their door. They got the money, but and then I was selling something. I made this mistake for at least 15 years. I was selling something they didn't want. But it was a good idea. The fucking idea was solid. Nobody wanted it though.
And they thought they were good salespeople already.
No. They wanted to buy advertising.
Okay.
I wasn't even paying attention. I was so sold on my idea. Maybe you have a product or an idea or something, and you're so convinced. I see people make this mistake all the time. And I see it because I did it. And I was so convinced this was a better way, but they didn't want it. Like I was literally the salmon going upstream in every sale. For 15 years I did this. See, 10X, and I'm answering your question about 10X. 10X, I was selling the wrong thing. I was in a vertical that was so tight, so narrow, okay? Like, it's only 20,000 car dealers in America. I was selling to these guys. And it's because I'm lazy. I was lazy at the time. It was easy.
Were you cold calling?
Just cold call.
Walking in.
I was living in Houston, Texas. I moved from Lake Charles to Houston. And the reason I moved, and when you're studying somebody, you need to start looking into why did he move there? I moved there because my family was there. That was stupid. You do not want to move around your family when you're taking on a big challenge. You need to go where nobody's there. Nobody's there to comfort you. Ain't nobody going to spoon you when you get home tonight. Nobody's going to comfort you. You don't want comfort when you're starting something up. You need fear, and you need like desperation, and you need loneliness. And you need, I got to go talk to somebody. Because I can't, staying in my room, it's clear this will not happen in a Marriott by myself, right? So what I did, I moved to Houston. I wasted a year and a half in Houston being around my family. And then my brother told me one day, he's like, when are you going to start calling on people? And so I started picking cities that were as far away from Houston as possible. And I would drive to that city. I drove to Salt Lake City and spent 2 weeks there. I didn't know one person in Salt Lake City. Can you imagine waking up Monday morning? Hey, who do I call on? I don't know. Like, I had nothing. There's no CRMs, no data. There's no Google.
What was the product called at that particular time?
Whatever I wanted to call it.
Right. Okay.
I'm like, I'm looking for names.
Yeah.
I got an idea. I had an idea. So I'd go in, I'd pitch the idea for free. I say, hey, Mr. Harrington, my name's Grant Cardone. Nobody knew me. I didn't write anything. Nobody knew anything about me. So my name's Grant Cardone, Mr. Harrington. I'm in town. I would spend 3 days on the phone setting it up first. Mr. Harrington, I'm be in Salt Lake City on Monday. I'd like to come by your place and show you something. Not interested. Click. Okay. And then I call him back. Mr. Harrington, clearly we got disconnected there. And
Clearly.
and he's like, hey man, fuck, I'm not interested, dude. I'm not interested. Okay. Just, do you mind if I come by and just introduce myself? Yeah, I do mind. Don't bother. Can I buy you a cup of coffee? I started learning pitches to keep a guy on a call. Hey, can I come by? Can I bring you a cup of coffee? Okay. Click. Okay. And then I'd show up anyway. I'd say, hey, I'm the guy that called you last week. You hung up on me 4 times. Okay, I offered you coffee. How about you buy me a cup of coffee now that I'm in your place? And I'd finally get into the place. This is really the development of who I am today.
Right.
Like calling on these people. But the problem was, once I figured out how to do it, I came to Miami. I pitched a deal in Miami. I sold 14 tickets at $300. $4,200, I was here 2 weeks. That's not a viable event. Okay. And there's no place to go on the way out. Like you guys have products and scaling and you got these big ideas. Dude, I'm trying to pay my bills. I'm trying to pay my phone bill. So this is where I started. So if you're having trouble right now, like I was one person and an idea. And it was a bad idea, by the way. It was an awful idea. So the 10X thing happened when finally I got these things going. I had 2 little companies. They were both car dealers. They were both automotive automotive. I got
Did you start getting testimonials?
Like yeah.
From some dealers
like anywhere I went, they were like, "Oh my God, this is great."
Yeah.
But everybody's going to get that. Like you could, the drug dealer's going to get that on bad drugs this weekend. Oh shit, your shit's great. I mean, everybody can get a testimonial from somebody about something.
Right.
So, I had 2 little companies, both in the same sector, and then I accidentally started buying real estate. Because to me, real estate was like, okay, this is how I'm going to get off this train over here. I knew there was a dead end on these two verticals. They're not. 30 years, I'm still running them. But I started slowly buying real estate, and I became interested in real estate. I started buying these apartment deals. And no matter what or where I was, those apartment deals always worked. And then 2007 came. The economy crashed. I'm back to the 10X question.
Were these kind of no money down kind of deals?
Oh no, these are 25%, 30%
Okay,
money
so
down.
you were taking your earnings and putting them in real estate.
Everything. I'm scraping everything off the table, throwing it all into these apartments. To me, like this is just. I'm a simple guy. I'm not a complicated guy. So these are slow, get rich for sure. And it kind of goes back to my dad on the weekends. My dad he was selling stocks during the week. Mm-hmm. And shopping real estate on the weekend. And I always wondered, why is my dad not studying stocks on the weekend? He was studying real estate on the weekend. I'm going to take this off. He was studying real estate on the weekend. And thanks, Jared. He was studying real estate on the weekend. I'm like, that would later, he valued real estate even as a stockbroker.
Yeah.
So I started dumping in. Then 2007 comes, and just like I'm living in LA at the time. I'd gone Houston, San Diego, LA. I was trying to find my wife. I did find her. That was harder than calling on car dealers. and she wanted nothing to do with me. 13, I think I called her 13 months, 26 phone calls, no return phone call. Everybody's like, man, you're starting to stalk her. This is like stalking. I said, not if it works. If it works, it's an investment. And it did work, and then 2007 came, and like Lehman, man, the Lehman thing was the greatest thing that ever happened to me in my career. Lehman.
Going out of business.
And Instagram.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 big events in my lifetime.
Living in LA at the time.
Yeah, I was living in LA.
2007.
Yeah, 2007. So when I saw the Lehman collapse, I realized immediately that I had built businesses. Look, I had I don't know, $7 or $8, $10 million at the time, and I thought I was the shit because I had banked a bunch of money. And when you grow up poor and you got $7 or $8 million sitting, you're like, shit, I'm good. And then when Lehman collapsed, it was like wake up call to the fight. Every cell in my body was like, what were you thinking? What were you thinking to think that $10 million is money? and I got the biggest wake up, and that's the creation of the 10X rules right there.
There you go. Yeah.
So like that was what, 12 years ago? I mean, you know, there's today I think there's 15 companies now. There's 4 partnerships or collaborations. We did 19 countries this year already.
So you tied up all the IP of 10X, the
No,
trademarks, anything?
No. We didn't do any of that. I never do any of that.
You didn't do
I never worry about any of that
But
stuff.
you had it long enough now that you've got.
Well,
ownership.
everybody's
Yeah.
promoting 10X, but you know, I got the whole world trying to rip it off right now.
Yeah.
So that's fine. You know, Bill Gates said when China was ripping Bill Gates off of Microsoft, this is 20 years ago. He says, look, if they're going to copy it, I just want to make sure they're copying Microsoft. If they're going to steal it, I want to make sure they're stealing Microsoft. If they're going to rip us off, make sure they're ripping off Microsoft, not somebody else. We'll worry about the money later.
Right.
So don't worry about it. I've never spent one minute on a copyright or a trademark. I'm not saying that's right for you or not, but we're just running.
Yeah.
We're running to the next thing.
Yeah. Fantastic. So the books. What did you start?
When Lehman collapsed, I wrote my first book.
Okay.
I was 51 years old. That was 10 years ago. I wrote my first book. We've written 8 books since then. 13 best-selling business programs. Did a webinar yesterday. There was 42,000 people signed up for that webinar yesterday. Wow. No affiliates. We didn't partner with anybody. It was just our push. 42,000 people. I think we sold almost $1 million worth of products yesterday on a Saturday afternoon in cash, no installments. Yeah. Bang. So I like cash flow businesses. It gives the organization a lot of confidence.
You mentioned the word funnel.
Yeah.
When did you do your first funnel? Do you remember?
Well, I was in LA. I just wrote Sell or Be Sold. I said, okay, I got to get people to know me. Sell or Be Sold was the first book I did. It had nothing to do with the automobile industry. And I'm like, oh, my problem is I'm in a vertical. The problem was not that we were in a recession, or in that case, probably a depression. Okay. The problem was my vertical was so narrow. Okay. When it gets cut in half, you only have half these people. I needed to scale this way because there's plenty of people that did well through that recession. I wasn't one of them. And so the 2 businesses got frozen up. The real estate, you couldn't move the real estate because real estate's not going to be an activity now. However, the real estate continued to cash flow. Like real estate saved my ass in 2008, 2009, 2010. When people were losing real estate, my real estate just kept paying me.
Is your strategy always multifamily?
It's always been apartments.
Yeah.
Like I have never deviated from the apartment game. Like I don't buy condos, penthouses, fancy shit. I buy places where people can live and will live forever. And so I'm in my office. I wrote Sell or Be Sold. I'm like, okay, now I got to get the book out. Okay, if you got the first copy of Sell or Be Sold, don't get rid of that book. Okay, it had hundreds of misspelled words. Okay, it had grammar issues, semicolons where there should be a colon, commas. I mean, it's terrible, right? I wrote it in 3 hours. Okay. And I wrote it, boom, put a cover on it, and started pushing out. We started selling that book door to door, like everywhere we could. And some guy calls me up and says, "This book's got misspelled words everywhere." I'm like, "Yeah, what's your point?" And he's like, "Fuck, book's got misspelled words, grammar." I said, "It's a best-selling book, son. It ain't a best written, it's a bestseller." Fuck you. That's good. And the point of that story, and we still do this today, the point of that story is, you need to get an idea and get a product. You don't need to get a perfect product. You need to get an idea and get a product to the marketplace and start pushing it and get revenue. And I can fix stuff later. Things can be cleaned up later. Every great business gets cleaned up later. It does not get cleaned up in the beginning. Okay? If you spend too much time trying to get to market, like what we do is this. We have an idea. We were charting this out yesterday. We get an idea. First thing we do, Grant gets an idea. As fast as I can monetize that idea, I will. My last book was called the Millionaire Booklet. I was under agreement with Penguin Random for Be Obsessed or Be Average, my 7th book. And Be Obsessed or Be Average basically gives people permission to be crazy. And if you're the obsessive type personality, you got to get that book because it will give you permission to be completely obsessed. And it would took 19 months because Penguin Random was involved. Now I know this, if you take 19 months to land a plane, you're either going to run out of fuel. It's just not going to happen. It is a terrible idea, but I can't change them. They've already given me the advance. It was significant. So I'm like, fuck, you guys are going to commit suicide, long suicide. Like, I'm not going down with you. So I said, Sherry, I want to write another book. And Sherry's like, oh, you can't under the contract. I said, what's the contract say? I said, okay, well, good. Does it say anything about a booklet? Because I had this idea for a booklet, okay? And I wrote the Millionaire booklet. It took 2 hours to write that book, okay? Now check it out. This is money right here if you do it. If you can figure out how to do it and get over your perfectionism and get over your structure and all this freaking neurosis that you move through structure and I got to have this laid out and planned out. I wrote that book at 10:30 at night. I had an idea for the book at 10:30. We had just been to a charity event and it was $2 million raised, and the last guy that gave $1 million, when it was a room about this size, okay? $2 million was raised in a room this size for charity. One guy did $1 million. When the guy did the $1 million, I could feel everybody in the room wanted to be that guy. Everybody in the room was like, I want to be him. They didn't just admire him for doing the $1 million. I could feel the audience. Like, you got to get connected with your audience. I could feel the audience like, I want to do that. I was driving home that night, couldn't sleep. I'm like, everybody wants to be a millionaire. Not so they get money, so they can actually help people, so they can make a contribution. Most people don't want to give $5,000. They actually want to give $1 million. They want to make significant difference. So 10:30 at night, I start writing that book. I'm literally like it's just flowing out of me, right? It's 44 pages, it's not a big deal. So I'm halfway through it and I'm like, oh shit, what am I thinking? I need a landing page. I stop, go create a landing page, Millionaire booklet. I don't know what we called the first rendition. It might have been Mill Book, Lit. I don't know. Who knows, right? I need a URL, okay? And then I'm like, I'm gonna put a price on it, $14. Okay, so a landing page, book, no picture. I don't have a picture, I don't have a book yet. $14, and then I need to promote it. So idea, landing page, price it, promote it. I went on Instagram, hey, I'm writing this book, guys. If you guys want the first copy, let me know. Then I'm like, oh, another idea. Hey, I need this book's gonna be massive. It's gonna be unbelievable. It's gonna be incredible. I'm in promotion now, right? And if you can help me translate the book, let me know. I'll give you credit for it. 38 people translated in their language. That book was done. That night, I had funded the book, okay? I sold the book in the first 15 minutes. Sold my first book in the first 15 minutes. Finished it at 2 hours. Had it translated into 38 languages within 30 days and distributed, okay, in 30 days. Penguin Random was another 2 months. They call up and say, hey, what are you doing writing this book? I said, dude, it's a booklet. And by the way, I mean, we're already selling this thing, and you guys are still in the editing of this other thing.
Wow.
So,
yeah. So
go fast is what my point is. Go fast.
Yeah. So now you were investing in real estate yourself.
Yeah.
You started just with your own money, and at some point you said, I know how to do this.
Yeah,
I figured it out.
Yeah.
I can show other people how to make money. And so you then, I don't know, where did your fund come along?
Along the way, while we're doing 10X growth conferences and, I'm having Kevin come on the stage. Like, all this has happened in the last 7 or 8 years where I'm like, okay, I got to scale. I got to go wide, not deep. If I'm going to go wide, I got to collaborate. Like, that's when I called this guy up and said, hey, be on our stage, okay? That's when you started seeing me in the last 8 or 10 years start doing stuff with other people. And collaboration is so important. You guys being in the room together, stay connected, work with each other. How can you help someone else? Not just what can you get out of it. What can you do to help somebody else? And we started doing these events. We did our first event down at the Diplomat, 2,200 people, sold it in 77 days. We didn't know what we were doing. Never sold one online. Okay, went online. Hey, we're going to do an event for 500 people. 2,200 people paid us an average of probably, I don't know, $1,500. So whatever that number was, it's probably a $4 or $5 million event. We weren't doing webcasts yet.
Did you make money on that event?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, crazy.
I would assume. Yeah.
Yeah. It was and all of a sudden it picked the brand up. So now the next thing we did was like repeat Repeat the activity. Do not do a new activity. Repeat that activity. Okay, so we booked the next one. I think we booked what? Vegas. That's where I met.
Yeah.
Okay, we booked Vegas. Yeah, no, you and I had already done the States.
I was at the Diplomat.
Yeah. And so we booked Vegas, and we said, okay, let's multiply it. Okay, we did 2,200. How many people can we do? We did 10,000 people in Vegas. I've never done an event. I was doing all stuff, local training. Our second event was 10,000 people. Our third event, that was a profitable, very, very profitable. Probably did, I don't know, 18 million bucks on that event, net.
Nice.
And lifted the brand. Okay, now I'm not using promoters like Tony, Gary, all those guys. They all use promoters. Somebody else sells those tickets for them. They walk in, do their little thing, and then walk out. I'm promoting my own event. Then we picked Marlin Stadium last year. Said, how much can I eat? How much can you eat? You know? And I said, hey, I walked into Marlin Stadium. I was telling Kevin, I said, God damn, this is beautiful. Beautiful. How many people does this seat? About 30,000, 28, 29,000. I'm like, yeah, but y'all never had that many people here. And they said, yeah, Joel Osteen was here. Joel Osteen had 28,000 people. I said, I'll take the whole place. If Joel can do it, I can do it. Okay? If Joel can do it, I can do it too, right? We were there 5 minutes. I said, I'll take the place. And they're like, when do you want it? Let me see if it's available. I said, I guarantee it's available. And they're like, well, how do you know that? You don't know our schedule. I said, I guarantee you it's available when I want it. And when do you want it? Super Bowl weekend. They're like, yeah, it is available. Because nobody would do an event on Super Bowl weekend. Now, if you can understand why I did that event, because my entire staff, including Jared right here, everyone involved in this event said, do not do Super Bowl weekend. Why would I do Super Bowl weekend?
The most serious people are going to come.
Cheap stadium.
No, never make a decision on cheap.
The most driven people will show.
No, you can't. I'm the only person other than the Super Bowl doing an event. There's nobody else doing an event. There's nobody else doing an event. Everybody was worried about the Super Bowl, dude. I just took out the Super Bowl, took out everybody. It got rid of everybody, number one. Number two, if I pull it off, my brand will be lifted up into the heavens as something mystical. Yes. Okay? Amen. So sometimes you don't do things. We made less money on that event with 35,000 people than an event with 10,000. But the brand lift was so unbelievable. Okay? Like, the goal was, hey, Jared, and every day Jared and I were talking. Hey, Jared, if we can pull this off, it wasn't about the money. We pull this off, dude, it's a game changer for the brand, okay? Number one, nobody's ever done this. 35,000 people, Super Bowl weekend. The story's unbelievable. We will pull it off ourselves. And every time somebody does an event after this, it'll be like, Tony does an event with 30,000 people? Yeah, but Cardone did 35,000. Yes. You understand? So you want to pick up. You want to pick up residual from other people. You want to pick up reminders, okay? If you can figure out how to use your competition, if they're competition, or collaborate with them, either way, you want to have their efforts reminding the public the similar of, yeah, but free advertising.
Yeah. So now here you've got, you're buying up real estate, putting on major events. I'll never forget when I came to your office, right away we shot a show. Interview. You create massive amounts of content.
Right? And, but it goes back to fast. Yeah. It goes back to speed. Quit overthinking everything.
I was in your office, in the set, ready to go.
Bing,
boom,
bang,
we were done. And then the next one, I'm in your Rolls Royce, and we're driving around doing the interview in your car. Like, how much content do you create a week?
I have no clue.
Yeah. Lots, though, right? I mean,
but everything should be used, right? Everything you're doing should be used for something. You got to assume that you're going to be successful, and if you're going to be successful, you should document it. I promise you're going to look back. Everybody in the room has done this. God, I wish I had pictures from when I was. Oh my God, right?
Yeah.
Because you were underestimating. This is the 10X rule. You're underestimating your potential to be super successful. Then you're going to get there and say, damn, what was I thinking? You were thinking you weren't going to be successful. And the truth is you are. The organism is going to be successful. If you don't quit, if you refuse to quit, and you refuse to stay where you are, those two things you have to do. Refuse to quit and refuse to stay where you are. You will get here. The organism, you as a 60 trillion cells will figure the way out, okay, somehow, if you don't quit and if you refuse to not be satisfied with this spot right here that you're at, no matter how tempting the spot is.
Yeah.
And so we started raising money for the real estate, because you asked, I guess, when was that, Jared? When did I open it up? I had done my brother, hey, bro, my brother's calls me up, my twin brother, he lives near where you live. Yeah. Yep. He says, hey man, how much you got? I said, he's like, what are you doing? I said, I just did a deal. He's like, how much you got in it? I said, I don't know. I think I put 19 million down. The deal was 60 million bucks. Huh? He said, huh? How much you got in it? 19. He's like, God damn, you must believe in it. Can I get some of that? And then my sister's like, can I tag on? So people started tagging on. Jared's like, hey, can I get a couple hundred in there? And then I start doing that. But the structure was set up. And then my wife comes to me, okay? Thank God for the women. Smartest people in the world.
Yes.
The women. They see things that men do not see. Like, I don't mean that to be a sexist thing. I'm sure somebody's going to tell me that I'm a freaking, yeah, me too. Right. I don't know how to say it. Women are smart. Women see things different than men see things, like genetically, I think. And because half the time I have no idea what my wife's talking about. I'm like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. And then she was right.
Yeah.
You know, later on, like, damn. How'd you know that?
So raising money started
so
with people wanting to jump in on your
she
deal.
said, look, my mother-in-law wants in. My sister wants. I said, I don't want that bullshit. Okay? I don't need other people. I don't need problems. And I kept hearing myself say this. I don't need problems. And then I look at Blackstone. And I went to Goldman. I was in New York at Goldman Sachs, and I went in their building. Like, you guys should all do that. Just go to Wall Street, go into Goldman, see the elevators. Just the elevators. I mean, you don't even, just see if you can get on. They have 2 banks of elevators bigger than there's probably 25,000 square feet of just elevator shafts. And I was like, what the hell am I thinking? What am I saying? How many of you heard this before? I don't want to raise money. I don't want people's problems. I don't want to bring investors in. Dude, like, that's bullshit. I think those guys have laid down that foundation so you stay out of the game. This offer I'm about to share with you is unbelievable. 100% of your money gets credited at my store. Pick your seat, secure your seat, pay for your seat, and what I automatically do is give you a 100% credit at GrantCardone.com. GrantCardone.com plus 100. You're not, I need to know how to do the deal. I don't need to know how I'm going to get in trouble. I need to know how to do the deal. I'm not worried about getting in trouble. I'm not doing anything wrong here.